Greetings, Portal Masters! Are you ready for another adventure of Skylands to stop whatever evil plan Chaos has in store in the 6th installment of a franchise that continues to eat up real estate on my figure shelf?
To be honest, I thought that Skylanders Superchargers would have been the last one of the series, due to the fact that the game ended on what seemed to be a fitting conclusion. Chaos was depowered and joined the Skylanders, and the evil force known as the Darkness was vanquished to another dimension. I thought it was a satisfying conclusion to the series, but how wrong I was. Especially since the series has made over $3 billion and sold over 250 million toys, making it one of the top 20 highest selling game franchises of all time, so of course Activision would be foolish not to keep going. Toys for Bob started development of Imaginators after Trap Team. Because Superchargers wasn't a commercial success, in fact it sold the least amount of units, and Disney decided to shut down Disney Infinity and its developer Avalanche Software, Activision remained hopeful that the Toys to Life genre hadn't finally run its course. So developers asked their kids what they'd like to see in the next Skylanders game. Because Skylanders uses its own original characters for its game, there's no limitation on what they can do, like how Disney Infinity limited itself with story packs by keeping certain characters only able to be in certain stories, meaning that no crossovers or limited crossovers could happen. The Imaginators concept was inspired by complex role-playing games, of which I'll get into later. The story was decided to give more focus on some of the original Skylanders, like Spyro, Stealth Elf, Eruptor, Jet Vac, and Pop Fizz playing prominent roles, more than likely because of the new Netflix series Skylanders Academy. While characters like Flynn, Callie, Hugo, and Tessa, characters who've left their mark in the series, don't even take a back seat but cling to the bumper just before the bus was out of reach. The visuals are really good. The characters still look like they always have. The designs haven't changed over the course of 6 years, but the biggest change is to the animation. It's very cartoonish looking, on the same level of Ratchet and Clank. A lot of detail is put into how the characters move. You can see their pupils grow and shrink with their emotions. There's a lot of overlap and follow through and secondary motion. Again, I think this has to do with the Netflix series that just started yesterday, so they really need to push it to make it marketable to kids. The music is really good and still retains that mystical fantasy genre that the series has always had. The voice acting is really good. I think Spyro has a different voice actor this time, as he never really said anything in the previous games, because he wasn't a main character in those games until now, but Stealth Elf, Jet Vac, and Pop Fizz retain their voices. I'm not sure about Eruptor since I never had him as a figure. Imaginators plays like most of the recent Skylanders games, being that Diablo-style dungeon crawler platform game with RPG elements. Nothing has actually changed here as the core is still the same, but before we get into the main course, there are some improvements. First off, there's an overworld map, allowing you to freely travel between areas. In the map, you can uncover secret areas for rewards like gold, experience points, books, or Imaginite chests for your Imaginator. You can even attack enemies on the map to start battles that will reward you with gear along with experience points. I like the idea of a map as it makes it feel like an actual world, although it's not as convenient as just selecting chapters to replay. There's no elemental or vehicle gates in the levels, having been replaced with Sensei realms on the map. Once a Sensei of the corresponding element unlocks it, any Skylander can enter them, so it's not limited to a Sensei of the corresponding element after it's unlocked. The Senseis are new figures in which there are 3 per element for a total of 30 figures, representing the 10 battle classes. Technically there's 33, as Crash and Cortex make an appearance and Chaos, who's finally playable, has his own. There's 10 Sensei shrines and they unlock a special attack for the Senseis. The Senseis also unlock secret techniques to teach Imaginators of their battle class, like King Pen, who's a Brawler Sensei, will unlock a Brawler technique, and the Senseis will also give you a piece of gear. The quality of the figures is about on par with that of Superchargers. Trap Team's figures were made of a cheaper plastic as they were more flexible than they should have been and also tended to fall apart. The Sensei figures are about the same size as the Trap Masters. The portal that comes with the game is the same one from Swap Force, and therefore the traps from Trap Team are not compatible with this game. But for now we'll get into the main gimmick of the game, and that's the ability to create your own Skylander. First, you'll need a creation crystal. There's 10 representing the elements and there's 10 battle classes. So if you want one of every element and class, it's going to run you $1,000, as each crystal is $10. You cannot erase a creation crystal. Once you choose a battle class, that's it. So choose your classes wisely, and if you want to buy them used, that's going to be a gamble, as you might not know what class you're getting, if you're allowed to buy them used. Each crystal comes with stickers representing the classes that you can put on a circle on the backside of the crystal, and it comes with a sticker that you can write on. I stuck them on the crystal so I know which one is which. As you make your way through the game, you'll find Imaginite in common, rare, epic, and ultimate types. You'll use the Imaginite to customize the look of your Skylander, choosing a head, ears, chest, arms, legs, and a tail. Granted, they're all optional, as you can have a glittery representation of what the battle class is. There's a lot of parts to choose from, with different heads and headgear taking up the majority. There's 128 heads, 16 eyes, 54 ears, 80 chests, 60 arms, 64 legs, 39 tails, 12 swashbuckler tassets, 11 swashbuckler tails, an average of 25 weapons per battle class, 128 kinds of headgear, 81 shoulder pads, 61 arm guards, 41 leg guards, 51 backpacks, 20 voices, 12 voice modulators, 9 types of music for when your character is on screen, 12 sound effects for when they fight, 21 ores, and 68 colors to choose from. Each battle class has 2 weapon attacks, 4 elemental attacks, 4 secret techniques of which you can only use one at a time but switch on the fly, and a soul gem attack. That's about 1,230 different items you can use to customize your character. This is where those classic RPG elements come in. In all the previous Skylanders games, you could equip hats onto the Skylanders to improve their stats, but in this game that feature is greatly expanded upon. You can equip different helmets, shoulder pads, arm and leg guards to make your Imaginator look really strong, and you can customize the color of them too. You can unlock voices to give them catchphrases, and the default level which they can reach is 15, but every Sensei figure increases that level cap by 1, all the way up to 20. I have 5 Sensei figures, so I got my Imaginators up to 20. I found myself using my Imaginators more than my other Skylanders, which is why I think there was that shift in the characters that appear on screen. Because I made these Skylanders, I had more of an attachment to them, so story-wise, the seasoned Skylanders would help the Imaginators. I will admit that I was a little disappointed with the character creation, but I blame this on myself, not with the way the game was advertised. Because for me, I filled in the blanks. I was expecting a more in-depth character creator, allowing you to tweak little details. Granted, this comes from playing many games that have come out that have a more in-depth character creator, but what you've seen in the commercials is available in the game. It just has to be unlocked. And strangely, swashbuckler Imaginators cannot use leg parts and are instead given tassets and tails, making them look like Nagas. I'm not a fan of that limitation. And why can't non-swashbucklers have snake lower bodies too? I get that they were inspired by Ninjini, who doesn't have legs, but it's a silly limitation, and I wonder if this can be patched out. You also cannot create Imaginators that walk on all fours or centaur-like creatures. They all have to be humanoid in appearance. And you can transfer your Imaginator to the Skylanders Creator app. The game will emit a series of chirps and beeps that the app will pick up, and from there you can order a shirt with your Imaginator, a card that works just like the figure, or if you really want to go for the gusto, you can order a sandstone figure that will function just like a regular Skylander figure. And of course, I still use Spitfire and Splat from Superchargers because they're my favorites from that game, but I hardly use the Senseis at all. I really use them only for the Sensei challenges that appear wherever a gong is placed, which meant that at later stages my Senseis were severely underleveled. However, I did start using the Golden Queen, who looks awesome decked out in black and silver as a Dark Edition figure, and I will say that she is immensely overpowered when you level her up. Imaginators isn't a difficult game on its normal difficulty, but it's more difficult than Superchargers, a game where 99% of the time I used a single Skylander. But I wasn't switching my Skylanders out as much as I had in the first 4 games, Spyro's Adventure and Trap Team being the more difficult entries in the franchise. The boss fights have you dealing with Chaos Doomlanders. There's one at the end of every level, and they're not really all that exciting. And the final boss, which has Chaos going Super Saiyan Blue, and that's not an exaggeration, and it's just him summoning Doomlanders en masse as you attack him, being similar to that of the last boss in the first game. The story has you stopping Chaos from trying to take over Skylands. Again. He finds an ancient magic called Mind Magic that lets him create anything he wants. So he creates the Doomlanders and enlists the help of the last of the Ancients, beings that used Mind Magic to create Skylands. Because Flynn, Callie, Hugo, Tessa, Megs, and Buzz make cameo appearances, it's up to Spyro, Stealth Elf, Jetvac, Eruptor, and Pop Fizz to guide the newly created Imaginators. I'll be honest, I like this. It gives this story a much needed breath of fresh air. While I do like Flynn, Callie, and Tessa, I've grown tired of them as they can get annoying with hearing Flynn shouting boom or Tessa yelling kablam while Callie groans in the background. The writing is still that of the Saturday morning cartoon type, which I like, but there's this running gag about someone stealing Jetpack's lunch, which, as a running gag, isn't funny as it's mentioned more than it should be and the payoff isn't worth it. The odd thing about this game is that it has microtransactions in the form of $2, $5, and $10 Imaginite chests. While these chests give you pieces based on a random number generator, Skylander, you are guaranteed ultimate rare pieces. You get 3 creation items for $2 and 1 is guaranteed to be ultimate rare, 9 for $5 and 2 to 4 are guaranteed ultimate, so you'll get at least 2. And then you get 20 items for $10 and at least 7 of them are guaranteed ultimate rare. So I bought a $10 one and I actually got 11 ultimate rare items. It's redundant since each figure and crystal is technically a paid DLC character, and each type of creation crystal also automatically unlocks a set, like the magic crystal unlocking a set of parts so you can make a witch character. And on a recent trip to Target, I saw them selling Imaginite chests for $6, an idea that's pretty wasteful as after you use it, you throw it out. To be honest though, I don't mind this type of microtransaction. Because it's rare to get duplicate items in Imaginite boxes, and out of the 400 plus boxes the game threw at me, I got 1 duplicate piece of headgear, and when you get a duplicate item, it increases the stats of the one you already have. If you want it, but I don't recommend, you can buy a bunch of boxes and unlock a good deal of content without worrying about getting duplicates, unlike a game like Overwatch where the random number generator is practically rigged against the player when it comes to the loot boxes. However, almost everything can be unlocked through regular play at a fairly quick pace. I unlocked about a third of the stuff during my first playthrough. The racing minigame returns from superchargers. It gives you the Hot Streak, Sea Shadow, and the Air Slicer automatically, but the game will not operate in story mode if you put a vehicle on the portal, so you cannot use them in the regular levels, which is understandable because they aren't designed the same way as superchargers. The endgame content is lacking. However, there are 3 more levels to unlock, but those come in adventure packs. Without the adventure packs, you just go around performing quests that the brain that was helping Chaos gives you. Each one is randomly generated, and you choose 1 out of 2 for each time, and when you complete one, you get 2 new ones to choose from, and the cycle repeats itself. You can do this until you've unlocked everything, but it's faster to replay through the levels because you'll get more Imaginite chests, and because you very rarely get duplicate items, you can get all the unlockables by playing the levels a few times over, and until you get to 3 stars for each one, as each level star rewards you with a chest. You can play the Mario Kart-like races for Imaginite chests, and the races feel faster than they did in superchargers. However, the drift mechanic doesn't feel right, as the car locks in place and doesn't turn. You can also play Skystone's Creation Clash, which is the original Skystones from Skylanders Giants with a different name, and you'll get Imaginite chests for winning. I think my biggest issue and only real complaint about the game is that you can tell that it's running on one hell of an outdated engine. Because this game went back to the original formula after superchargers, it really shows how old the engine is because superchargers very much deviated from the original formula, making it feel fresh because of the driving sections. The engine feeling outdated isn't really a bad thing, but it does show its age. In the Fire Sensei realm, there's an issue with moving platforms by using a freeze ray. You cannot aim the thing up or down and have to hope that it targets the platform you want to push in or pull out, which makes doing speedruns more difficult than they should be. And why is it that we still can't rotate the camera? It would make things a lot easier if we had control of the camera and if it was zoomed in on characters like a normal platformer. I spent a long time trying to find the last treasure chest in the Fire Sensei realm for about an hour. If I was able to rotate the camera, I would have found it. Also, traversing on platforms from a fixed camera angle really isn't the best way to control a platform game, and the platform shows its age when it comes to navigating small platforms or moving blocks along narrow pathways. It doesn't feel clunky, but it feels outdated, especially because the series has evolved from a dungeon crawler like Diablo to more of a platformer with beat 'em up and RPG elements. I'm pretty sure that we won't see an engine overhaul with whatever the 7th installment of the Skylanders franchise is going to be, as Vicarious Visions would be around the halfway point of development by now, because it is their turn for a Skylanders game. But if there's an 8th installment, that would be developed by Toys for Bob, and they would be able to make the changes needed to make the series feel fresh again. But I will say that they have to keep the custom characters thing now, as it's the best feature they've come up with. There's some glitches with the fights that you can encounter on the map. Sometimes the Skylander will keep their rapid running speed or lose it halfway through, or not have it at first but then have it later. I've gotten stuck on invisible walls where there shouldn't have been any a few times, and one time I needed to exit the stage and re-enter it. One last thing that I noticed is there aren't that many female chess pieces. A lot of them are masculine looking. Now, I'm not going all social justice warrior on you because there seem to be an equal amount of masculine and feminine heads, with a lot being gender neutral. But if you wanted to make a female Skylander, your options seem limited when it comes to body types. And this comes from trying to make a French character into a Skylander. The chess was the most difficult as the selection of female looking ones was limited, and I didn't want to make her character look like a feminine looking guy just because a male chess piece looked better. With all the other Skylander games, after I completed them, I never went back to check out any of the other stuff or modes that were available. But I did manage to go back and play this one for several hours due to the levels of customization and the amount of exploration that's available. And with the way the game game constantly rewards you with at least something for your exploration, or at least revisiting the levels has managed to keep me going, because I want to make my Skylanders look awesome, and I want them to kick ass and chew bubblegum. I've spent over 20 something hours playing this game at time of writing, because there's just so much stuff to reward the player with, more so than the other games. And that constant reward system that the game implements has me continually returning to it because I really do enjoy the character customization. You can sink a lot of time into making your own Skylanders, which is why I enjoyed the creator in Spore so much.
In the end, I did enjoy my 6th tour of duty in Skylands. It was another fun adventure, but I just hope that whatever the next installment is, comes with a rebuilt game engine.